Hello guys, this is Nick Newman with RPG Mastery, and today's video is all about death. Yes, death. It comes for us all. It takes us to places unknown, that's for sure. But this is specifically death in role-playing games. Now, this is a powerful subject in the game, and people need to understand it. Alright, it's important. To be a good GM, you need to understand the implications of killing off things that people love. Yeah? Oh, it's just a game, right? As a GM, you're in a position where you can create things willy-nilly, and sometimes the players just disrespect those things, and they kill those things. They do. It's part of it. But these are players in your world, characters that have been made, crafted out of love and intent on exploring their psyche, their personality, and their intents, their hopes and dreams. They're like little souls, really. Characters are like little souls. And they built that to explore the world you made. Now, I don't understand it. I frown upon it. I think death is probably the biggest reason why people don't play games again. Their first game, they get a bad GM. A GM that thinks that TPK is like a notch on their belt every time they get it done. These people really need to not GM. Very simple, right? Yeah, think of it like a movie, right? Everybody's making a story, right? You're the GM, you're trying to craft an epic story. Now, what kind of story would you have if on episode 1, every character that has been made, and all your writers, right? All the writers or whatever, maybe you're the writer, you wrote all these characters up. In the first episode, they all die. They meet a dragon, the dragon blows them away with their fire, and then all they're left is ashes, and that's it. Episode 1. Wouldn't be a very good TV show. Surely wouldn't. Not to say that TV shows don't have death. They do. Trust me. It hurts having a character die. I'm talking about L still. L from Death Note. Shouldn't have died, but he died. But that happened much later. Much later. You can't have that in a role-playing game, a story where people die instantly, right? You gotta give them some time and challenge them, right? TPK. I've TPK'd once, and it was horrible, and it was a failure on my behalf as a GM to understand the power level of my characters, understand what they were thinking, how they'd behave. It was my failure, and that's the last memory of the characters that they developed is episode 1 death. I did it. And I won't do it again, damn it. I won't. No. Other people think, oh, you know what, it's like real life simulation, right? So role-playing games, sometimes people do stupid things and they need to die. Well, yeah, sometimes, but if they're really going out of their way to do it. But you're the GM. You make up everything. Why do they have to? Kill them later. I mean, when it's important, when it weighs on everybody, then you can kill them. But death can be a serious thing to players. It can be emotionally devastating to players. I mean, I'll speak from personal experience here. Now, and I will, and this is hard. This is kind of hard for me to get out for everybody, but I think it's important because I'm not the only one that's ever felt like that. And the GM is like probably my best friend, I would say. Still is. And I just didn't talk about it because it's unmasculine, I would say. And second, I didn't talk about it because I didn't want to make him feel bad. But I tell you what, one time I had a character. This is a story time. Story time. One time I had a character, and this was my first character. I love this character. Still do. My favorite character. It's Gunther. It's a guy that... I'll put him right here. the characters loved it. There's art for it. If you went out of your way, my wife actually did the art for this. Pretty cool. But he wasn't always so badass with those big ass wings and stuff like that, and awesome stuff and powers to stop time and make wishes and rewrite the universe, whatever. He was a gummy bear once, and it wasn't a death that triggered these 5 stages of grief, because that's what it was for me. It was a defeat, an utter, shameful, sad defeat, where my character was cocky and stupid, and I was cocky and stupid, and challenged the wrong person. And that happens because in the game, you're not the only strong person there. No matter how strong you get in the game, you got to realize that there are stronger things out there than you. And some GMs just hold that back for you, especially, the first couple sessions of campaign, I'll hold that back from people, but I will unleash it. I will unleash the ungodly power. But my character got into an altercation with a pyromancer. Yeah, an evil one, a Lamashtan pyromancer. This is Pathfinder. But Lamashtu is the goddess of chaos and madness. So, met this god, or not the god, met this follower, and his whole existence, and it was, I guess my GM had wrote the story for him and everything. His whole existence was to burn villages down, to burn anything, to kill life, if something wasn't burning, then he wasn't doing his job. So my character met this guy, right? And was like, okay, I'm a tricky wizard, I can beat this guy at level 2, or level 10. I was fighting, and found out later he was level 10. I know that because I was a rules lawyer back then. And I was like, this is bullshit. But it felt real. It still does feel real to this day. Fought the guy, got torched. I got straight up torched. I tried to hit this guy with grease, found out you can walk through it with if you pass the saving throw and you walk through it with an acrobatics check of 10, which the guy got, and at level 2 the save for that was like 12 or something ridiculous. No, probably more like 15, but made the save, walked through as I greased the floor to try and trip him up, because I'm like, you're a wizard, you're gonna have some problems shooting me with fire if you can't stand up. Walked right through it and maximized burning hands to me. Every item I had on my character was burnt off. I think except the spellbook, which I kept in a backpack, which was behind me. So flames came at me this way, and I had a resistance to fire. I had like a point of resistance for every D6 that was done. And that was just like some in-game homebrew mechanic thing. But it was enough damage to take me to unconscious. It didn't kill me, but it knocked me out and it burned everything on my body. And the rest of the party is watching as the GM basically established this power, knowing that it was the beginning for everybody to know that you guys are just fucking ants compared to all these giants that are stomping through the world that you have to deal with later on. And it didn't kill me, but it almost did. It could have. A couple of points away, maybe 2 or 3 points away from just straight up killing my character. And this is my first character I ever built, and I built it from a place, I wanted to make something that I loved. And I think everybody there at the session did the same thing. Came from a place deep inside my heart of the kind of person that I wanted to be. So this is what character I made. And when he failed, in the game, outside of the game, it felt like I had failed. Like I lost. I could feel it. The devastation. I can still feel it. Not as strong, of course, I still feel it minorly, but that's part of life. Pain. It's part of role-playing games. Pain. But I was so attached to this character, being defeated in this way so easily, after I put all my hopes and dreams into this ship and had to sail and get struck by lightning and sunk, it was painful. It hurt a lot. And that's part of a good story, though. I mean, he was a good GM. He still is a good GM. He allowed me to invest in such a character and take him to that level where I cared about the plot and him. And that triggered deep emotional responses in me. I believe the rest of the session I was very quiet, and I tried to hide my pain. Teared up a little bit. It's serious. When a man tears up, it's serious. But after that, for about a week, about a week, 2 weeks, even a week after that, we played every weekend. For that whole week, it was like nothing was important to me anymore outside of life. In life, it was horrible. I was going through the stages of grief. How ridiculous, right? You'd think, how could you love a character that much to go through the 5 stages of freaking grief, right? And I didn't know I was going through them until I looked back on it. But I mean, if you don't know what they are, the first one's denial, right? First thing I did was I denied that it was fair, because I was a rule lawyer. I was like, this is bullshit. He fucking cheated me. He had this very powerful pyromancer just smoke me down out of nowhere. He can't do that. He's the GM. Why would he make us fight a guy that strong? Stupid. It was denial. Denial that I was part of the situation and didn't make a good decision. He had all the power to do that the whole time. And he didn't do anything wrong, still to this day. Next thing, that was denial. And then denial with what I had done. Denial that what I had done was wrong or not that I approached this pyromancer the wrong way, right? The next stage was anger. Oh yeah, I was mad. I was a little bit mad. I was thinking, I'm not gonna fucking play this game ever again. That's what I thought. But then I was like, that's a little stupid. My character's not even dead. He exists, and if I leave, well, it's just going to be a failure forever, so I have to continue. May have been different if he actually died. I don't know how it would have reacted. Immaturely, of course. Illogically, of course. But I got angry. I got real angry. From that point forward, for a little while, I would question what my GM did. I would. It's horrible. Hindsight's 20/20. It was so stupid. But I was that invested, psychologically invested, emotionally invested in my character. Next thing, bargaining. Went through the stages of bargaining. And that's like basically me trying to dig up any semblance of a purpose I had left in that damn game. I should call it a damn game. It's the best game I ever played. But trying to come up with, saying, oh, this isn't so bad, or moving on and stuff, even without accepting it all myself. Bargaining with it and saying move on, but there's still that cloud of pain, emotional pain in my life outside the game. I remember being at work and being like, ugh, life is shit, seriously. And then we had the depression. That was the worst. That was just kind of like nothing's important in life. I did this over a character in a game, seriously. Now, I can recall these things. It wasn't the first time anything like that's happened in my life. I've had my mother die, which is pretty intense. This is nowhere near that level of pain, but it's still pain, especially when you have long periods of your life where nothing dramatic ever happens to you. And then you have something that you love just go up in flames. And then, so depression for a long time. Just didn't want to do anything. Wasn't even excited for the game. I'd say this lasted about 2 weeks till I got back in the game. Used the element of defeat with my character to develop him, and then his new mission was to kill this pyromancer next time we saw him, to get strong enough to kill him. And I did. If it was in battle, I would have killed him, but the way I killed him was so damn epic. I couldn't have got that without a defeat like that. I couldn't have felt that good about him dying by my hands or my power without being defeated by him earlier. It would have had no... I mean, if it was a TV show, it'd be like, you know how every TV show or story starts with a big bad doing something awful and beating down your favorite character, and then later on they get that sweet vengeance and they repay it. It was good. It was good. And then I moved on to acceptance, and the acceptance was, I gotta keep playing the game. I got a new goal. This is part of my character. It'll take a while for his eyebrows to grow back, but they will grow back. It's acceptance. And acceptance in knowing that it was part of the game. And without parts of the game like that, it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel right. If you know, it's just like real life. You don't, something about the ability to lose something at any time makes it precious. And it makes some time you spend on it very important. This is real life stuff I'm learning from a role-playing game. We played it a couple of years ago. Shit, I was like 22 when I was playing or something like that. Still learning. Now, to those of you who've had your characters die, now this can be devastating if you got a bad GM. If you fantasize about a character before you even get to the game and you play and you're like, yeah, this is going to be awesome, and then session 1 they kill the character. You know what? That session never happened. That's what you got to tell yourself. You got to move on. Because you developed it. It's your idea. Nothing can stop it. Right? Don't give up on the game just because you had a shit GM. Problem is, it's hard to find out if you have a shit GM, if you think the game is just like that now. Unfortunate. Some people there should be a license for GMing. And on the license it should say, I hereby promise not to kill people on the first session. Maybe even the second. But it's not over. The next thing you gotta realize is, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, death is just the beginning, man. There's so much beyond it. So much more. Things you can learn about the campaign by dying. It's not over because you can be brought back. And great missions can be made just to bring your character back if the other characters care about you. You can be brought back as a villain. You can be brought back as a zombie. You can be brought back, and your character will be changed by that. And that's part of what we do when we develop a character. We need to allow them to be changed because they're going through an ordeal. They get brought back. It's never the end. I mean, what, Miracle, Wish, and bring people back? Not a big deal. It's not the end. Especially late game, somebody dies. Just wish them back. It can be hard to get the money up for a wish, but yeah, it's not over. The game it's a game. I think it's developed to be like that. Next is to accept that death is part of the game. Because, as I said before, just with my defeat later in the game, that vengeance was so much sweeter. Death is part of it. It's put in to add a level of reality to the game. Natural love and feelings. And it needs it. It needs people to have it to be invested. And, I mean, because I was invested, and it happened, or at least the defeat. It could happen with a defeat or death, obviously. It makes you grow as a human being when you get over it. My character actually died later on in the campaign. It happened, didn't even bother me, didn't mess with me at all. I was just like, you know what? He's dead. Time to make a new character. Now everybody metagamed like crazy and tried to save my life, and they did. They wished me back, or miracled me back to life. And that felt good. It felt loved. But in the end, I'd been defeated before. I'd went through all this before and understood that that place that I created, that character, he'll always exist. He may be the favorite part of myself that I've ever developed, but he still exists within me. And you got to know that. These things don't come out of nowhere. They come out of you. And a character can never really die because they'll always be in you and always be in a story, right? And death is part of the game, and without it, how would you deal with those power players, right? How would you kill them off with that poison in their sleep? No, it's kidding. But that's all I've got on death. If you're a GM, use the power of death wisely. If you have been killed, accept it, move on, and understand that it's okay to feel bad or to feel pain. But don't get mad at the game master. Try and resist that. Because later on, you're not going to mean it. You're going to want to play the game again. You're going to respect what they did. You are. At the time, it doesn't feel like that, but you're pissed. And just don't take it personally, because it's part of the game. Sometimes this is a game where the dice can roll on a 20, but can also roll on a 1, and it's built that way for a reason. Unpredictability makes the game beautiful. It makes it almost transcend what a game really is, and you don't want to take that away. So, this is Nick with RPG Mastery. I'm going to take my heart and put it back in. I'll leave it off the table, dust it off because it's got Dorito dust on it or something. So, thank you very much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And if you got to the end of this video, I applaud you. I applaud you. And there may not be very many good role-playing videos out there with people who will level with you the way I will as a player and a game master. Tell me what you think about death in the comments below. Tell me how you felt if a character were died. Tell me if you just never gotten that attached to a game before. I suggest that you try. It's a lot of fun. But thank you very much. This is Nick Newman with RPG Mastery. And please remember to stay calm and roll